So currently affecting 1.6 million Americans, and with an average of 70,000 new cases each year, IBD, also known as irritable bowel syndrome, is a disease that affects many Americans every day for the rest of their lives. It's important to note that Crohn's and IBD actually do go hand in hand together. So, Crohn's and Colitis Foundation is a foundation that researches IBD and also is potentially trying to find a potential cure and ultimately the cause of Crohn's disease. With fucking bitch, dude, I hate this shit so much. While currently affecting 1.6 million Americans and with an average of 70,000 new cases each year, IBD, also known as irritable bowel syndrome, is a disease that affects many Americans every day for the rest of their life. For this presentation, it is important to note that Crohn's and IBD are hand in hand. They do go together. So, with no standard treatment for Crohn's disease, it is important that we support Crohn's and Colitis Foundation due to their extensive research behind IBD. I personally have had some family members who have suffered from both IBD and Crohn's disease, and I can tell you that it is a very difficult disease to live with. With Crohn's and Colitis Foundation on the brink of potentially finding a cure and ultimately a cause to Crohn's disease, it's important that we support them and really give them that final push that they need in order to really figure out the cause for Crohn's disease. Today I will discuss some common symptoms of Crohn's disease, what it's like to be diagnosed, and also just some information on the research behind Crohn's and colitis. So let's start by discussing some common signs and symptoms of Crohn's disease. The problem with Crohn's disease is that everybody suffers from different symptoms and different levels of discomfort. So ultimately, narrowing down a specific diagnosis of Crohn's is very difficult to do. Crohn's and Colitis Foundation is a nonprofit that is played a role in every major IBD breakthrough since their founding, according to their website. Also, according to their website, they've invested more than $350 million due to Crohn's and Colitis Foundation trying to find a ultimate cause and cure for this. So we also know that with research, we've realized that anybody is really susceptible to the Crohn's disease. We know also that boys develop IBD at a slightly higher rate than girls, according to Healthline. And usually a diagnosis ranges from the age of 15 and 35. So because symptoms vary from person to person, it's hard to make a certain diagnosis, as I said earlier. So some common signs of Crohn's include abdominal cramping, fatigue, and weight loss. According to health grades, Crohn's can affect ultimately every part of the GI tract. There is no specific cure for Crohn's yet, but only ways to help alleviate flare-ups. Even though these solutions, such as medicine and diet changes, they can help, according to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, an average of 70% of people diagnosed with Crohn's will ultimately have to get some sort of surgery in their lifetime. So we see that Crohn's and IBD are both very difficult diseases to live with. But thanks to Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, they've made it a little bit easier due to their research. So during the early research of Crohn's disease, many doctors originally thought that the cause was due to your diet. We now know that this is not entirely true. This foundation has done extensive research in environmental triggers, and we have found genes that are linked to the Crohn's disease. With this research, we now know that while these genes are not necessarily the exact cause of Crohn's, if these genes are found present, you're definitely more susceptible to Crohn's. We also know that according to Healthline, 20% of people with Crohn's actually do have another family member with it, so it's hereditary. That's very useful information to know. So you might be wondering how to help, and so a great way to contribute is by ultimately volunteering and your donations. So gene research is by any means very expensive, not by any means cheap. Costs a lot of money to do this research. So really any donations are very helpful because we are so close to finding a cure. Due to this research, we've also now noted that there are more than 160 genes associated with Crohn's disease. So ultimately, it is a matter of time before we find a cure and hopefully a cause to this disease. So not only does this foundation focus on gene research, but we also figure out ways to help alleviate flare-ups and any symptoms like that. So this foundation focuses on precision medication to patients with Crohn's. The goal of this is to eventually find a cure, see what helps and what doesn't help, and ultimately see how the Crohn's disease behaves. So by administering medicine and giving advice on things like what not to eat and what to eat, we have seen some positive effects. And ultimately we're hoping to really break through and find that one specific cause to Crohn's disease. So if you want to get involved, another great way is by, like I said earlier, volunteering. So donations and volunteering. Donations are good because it funds them, but volunteering is great because it helps get the word out. A lot of people don't really know too much about Crohn's disease or anything like that. So getting people involved, giving them an understanding is really what's going to help Crohn's disease really get that final breakthrough. Overall, Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been a huge help to the IBD community, really all because of your help. Because of our help, this foundation was able to make some massive breakthroughs. A major breakthrough that we saw was the discovery of NOD2. This gene was the first gene that we deemed relevant to Crohn's disease, and from then it's only grown. Without this discovery, we would have never known that Crohn's can be hereditary and ultimately passed down by family member to family member. So this was a huge breakthrough because it was able to really give us a certain field to focus and study in on. Another major breakthrough that we saw was the link between IL-23 and IBD, later leading to the medicine called Sterella. So Sterella is an antibody used to suppress the inflammatory agents caused by Crohn's. So because Crohn's is ultimately a chronic inflammatory disease, these flare-ups can cause a lot of harm or really pain to the individual. So with Sterella, this is able to alleviate some of those flare-ups and really help them with their levels of discomfort. So according to Cali Life Sciences, with proper treatment, 50% of people that are diagnosed with Crohn's with proper treatment report only mild symptoms. So this is a very good breakthrough that we're seeing. And that really helps us know that our dedication and time is ultimately not for nothing. So today I shared with you all some common symptoms and signs of Crohn's, people who are susceptible, and like how the diagnoses go. And I've also talked to you all about some of the research currently being done behind the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. If you were in need of help of something that was uncontrollable, you would want an organization as great as Crohn's and Colitis Foundation to help you through it. I would encourage all of you to donate to this foundation if possible. That money really helps fund the researching and really make those breakthroughs. But if this is not as feasible, another great way to help is by volunteering, getting that word out, like I said earlier. So any help is really appreciated by the Crohn's disease. And with our help, we've made some great breakthroughs, so hopefully we can make many, many more in the future. That now concludes my speech, and I now open the floor to anybody with questions. Okay, so Had a member in the audience ask me what the average cost of living with Crohn's is yearly. So according to the CDC, on average, it costs about $10,000 to $20,000 each year for Crohn's, but it really just depends on the severeness and ways that can really help that patient specifically. So that was my speech, and thank you for your time.